So ever since their ultimate defeat at the hands of themselves and the Jedi in the last Jedi-Sith War, the Sith have existed in pairs of two. This mandate would be called the Rule of Two, and states that there can only be two Sith Lords in existence at any given time. The first of these Lords would be a representation of the dark side, a Master, and the second of the two would be one that craves the Master's power, an apprentice. For example, you had Darth Bane, the founder of the Rule, and his apprentice. You have Darth Plagueis and Darth Sidious, followed by Sidious and Darth Maul, then Sidious and Darth Tyrannus, then finally Darth Sidious and Darth Vader. Darth Sidious has been through a lot of phases. In the time we've known it, the Rule of Two is a large part of the Skywalker saga, but just because it's all we've seen the Sith do, that doesn't exactly mean it was a perfect system. So today's question, just how effective was the Rule of Two? And I think the only way to really start this is by looking at the history behind the Rule of Two, and then look at who followed it, because when you look at the Sith history, a rule like this makes complete sense. The Sith of yore, they were powerful, emotional, large in numbers, but they had a flaw. They were hungry for power and would do anything to achieve it. From what we know of the last Jedi-Sith War, the Sith fought the Jedi and one another. Their lack of unity, their unwillingness to work together on defeating the Jedi essentially cost them everything. Their Sith Empire was wiped off the map, and their rivals were the ones that dealt the killing blow. It really isn't surprising that at the time a Sith survivor would decide it too costly to just completely recreate the Sith Order and would instead opt for a less corruptible, less power-hungry system of just having two people, because having two people, that's a lot easier to control than, an entire form of government. Now, you could argue that the Rule of Two did more than a Sith Empire ever would have. It did destroy the Republic, create a new empire, and wipe out the Jedi, but there's two things to remember here. The Jedi of the Galactic Republic were fools. They were blind to the idea of a return of the Sith, and they played right into the hands of Darth Sidious and his numerous apprentices. Then you also have to remember how long it took the Rule of Two to succeed, and how long it succeeded for. Since the end of the Jedi-Sith War, the galaxy was at peace. That's roughly around 1,000 years, give or take, until the Sith finally struck and began the Clone Wars, and yeah, they did succeed, but let's look at the Empire. The Empire Darth Sidious created lasted from 19 BBY to 5 ABY, BBY and ABY being before the Battle of Yavin and after the Battle of Yavin, respectively. That's roughly 24 years of Sith rule compared to 1,000, give or take, for the Republic. I don't think a 1,000-year gap between roughly 20 years of Sith dominance is an effective outcome for this philosophy. Imagine all the Sith that lived and died in secret, only for two of them to finally take power, create the Empire, and only rule it for roughly about 20 years. While that seems ineffective, which, let's be honest, it was, you could argue that the Rule of Two's goal wasn't just to create an empire, but it was to also wipe out the Jedi, which happened. That did actually happen. It was 99% effective, because nearly every Jedi perished during the Jedi Purges. Yet, you might also remember that it was a Jedi who defeated the Emperor and returned the Force to an imbalance between good and bad, at least for a little while. So was the Rule of Two effective? Well, yes and no. It did accomplish its goals, but only briefly after 1,000 years of waiting. Honestly, it's up to you. So what do you think? Do you think the Rule of Two succeeded? Do you think it failed? You can let me know your thoughts, as well as all questions, comments, and concerns regarding this video, Star Wars, or its lore, in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching.